niggas some gray outsides of these prisons, but yeah, this was our decision. Now I done been through it all. Robbed niggas and been robbed back. Shot at niggas and they shot back. So some losses, but came right back. I done been through it all.
Yo, you sexy ass bitches. Guys, thank you so much for being so patient with me while I try to figure all this shit out. You guys know I'm new to this. I'm doing my best, okay? Thank you for rocking with me. I really, really wanted to knock this episode out of the fucking park. It is my first true crime episode, and I did not want to disappoint you guys. And I was sitting around all week long trying to figure out what should I cover? What should I do? And the answer was in front of my face the entire fucking time. There is no way, being from Central New York, that this could not be the first case that I cover on my podcast. And if you're from here, you probably already know what the fuck I'm about to say. Heidi Allen. Guys, for those of you who are not from the Central New York area, Heidi Allen, her case is notorious around here. I grew up hearing stories about this girl and her disappearance forever, right? So let me just tell you guys a little bit about Heidi and her case. So Heidi Allen was an 18-year-old girl. She went missing from the D&W gas station in New Haven, New York, which is in Oswego County, which is literally right where my dad lives. He drives by this fucking gas station every day on his way to work. It's on 104 and Route 104B. And it's in Oswego County. And if you guys follow me on TikTok, y'all already know I have crazy history with the Oswego County Police Department, who really fumbled the fucking ball during this case. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, I've had crazy history with Oswego County, man. That's where I went to college. It's where my apartment got raided. It's where those news articles were written about me, accusing me of being a heroin dealer and a big time supplier, when really I was just a local fiend. They are dirty, very, very dirty. But anyways, Heidi went missing on a snowy morning on Easter Sunday, 1994. Two brothers would be charged with her disappearance, even though her body to this day has never been found and no one really knows what happened to her. So here's the deal. There are two brothers, Richard and Gary Thibodeau. Richard was a local. He lived right down the street from the D&W gas station, and he went there to get smokes at like 7:30 in the morning, and Heidi cashed him out. He called the police when he saw that Heidi was missing on the TV and was like, hey, just so you guys know, I was there. If, you need to ask me any questions or if I can help in any way, let me know. Which is like a lose-lose, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, like he's inserting himself in the investigation and that's sketchy, but like you're supposed to want to help if a local girl is missing. So like there really was no winning for Richard. But anyways, so Richard's the one that goes to the gas station, tells the police, and then the police go after him and his brother Gary, who wasn't even at the fucking gas station. But that's not the worst part. So they go after these two brothers, right? Richard, who was the one that was actually at the gas station, goes to trial and is fucking acquitted. Innocent on all charges. Gary, who's in fucking bed, hungover, gets life in prison. And he wasn't even fucking there. And guys, there are so many twists and turns to this case. There should have been something. Everyone in this area has been watching this man dwindle from a regular, strong, decent, built, and happy-go-lucky guy to just a little scrawny old man that is wasting away in prison. It's truly bizarre, but we'll get there. By the way, there was no physical evidence against Gary or against Richard. So a little bit more about Heidi. Heidi's sister said that she was sassy, energetic, and a risk taker. She was smart. She did not have to study to get good grades. She was just naturally intelligent, right? She was very, very hardworking. So Heidi's day normally started around 5:45 to 6 a.m. and didn't end till around midnight. So what she would do is she would wake up, she would drive to the community college that was 45 minutes away. She would do all of her classes there because she was in the process of getting her human services degree. And then she would leave there, drive 45 minutes back, work her shift at the D&W gas station. She wouldn't get out of work until 10:30. You think she went home? No. You think she went out to party like a lot of 18-year-olds? No. This girl went to her boyfriend's house and ironed his clothes for the next day. Every night. And then after that, she would go home, do her homework, and go to sleep. And then she'd wake up and do it all over again. Like Heidi was just that girl. Heidi had goals and dreams, and she was going to smash them shits no matter what. So we already know that Heidi was very independent, very hardworking. She also played volleyball. Her friends called her the Tower of Power. Like she was that bitch. So you know she didn't give up without a fight when whatever happened to her happened. She was really sweet too. So when she was an intern at an elementary school, she came up with this group for the children of parents that had been divorced. She called them the Banana Splits. How sweet is that to come up with something like that for these kids? Her father, Ken, worked at a cement plant, and her mother was a teaching assistant. She just came from a good, hardworking family in a good, hardworking town. Nobody expected this shit to happen to her. Nobody. Heidi's mom said that she never missed curfew, ever. It was just not within character for her. She was very, very responsible. Heidi's sister Lisa said this about her. I want people to know she was a good kid. She was one of the most joyful and selfless people, and I can only imagine she would have been an even more beautiful adult. She just wasn't given that opportunity, which it's like, as a fucking big sister, is completely heartbreaking. Like, I cannot imagine not knowing what has happened to one of my siblings. It just breaks your heart in fucking half. But all right, to the day of the disappearance. So, like I said, it's a snowy, rainy morning, Easter Sunday, 1994. Heidi was not even supposed to be working that day. She took the shift with one of her coworkers so that her coworker could spend Easter with her family, which makes this even more tragic to me. Like she wasn't supposed to be there. Can you imagine being that coworker? Like, oh my God, if I'd have just, I mean, obviously it's not her fault, but guilt and grief work in weird ways, and I know that shit would fuck me up. If this 18-year-old girl took my shift and then nobody ever saw her again, holy shit. Especially since we don't know why Heidi was taken still. Like, would that coworker have been taken? Like, would everything have just been normal and fine and dandy? I don't know why I said fine and dandy. But anyways, Easter 1994. Roads are fucking terrible. So her boyfriend actually drove behind her the whole time to make sure that she got to work safely. And then he actually stayed, which he had done before. It was not out of the ordinary. He had stayed for over an hour to make sure that she got settled in and opened the store up with no issues. And a lot of people said, like, oh, that's weird. That's controlling. That's sketchy. I don't think it is. Like, I think it's sweet. Like, she's a fucking 18-year-old girl opening up a gas station on a busy ass, like basically a highway. Like, fuck, is chivalry completely dead? Like, you can't do shit anymore. Fuck. Okay, so the last transaction at the store was at 7:42 a.m., right? There's a receipt there to back that up. I believe that was Richard Thibodeau. But then there's customers coming in and out of the store, regulars, and they're just like, where the hell's the cashier? So they're leaving money in good faith, like, and just taking the shit that they bought. But then there's one customer that's like, yo, something's not right. Like, her car is here. Like, where is she? And coincidentally, she goes outside and there is a cop going by and she flags him down, like, yo, over here, something's wrong. And then the cop comes and he automatically knows that something is not right. Like I said, her purse is there, the pumps are on, money's in the drawer, but like, where the fuck is the cashier? Why is her car here? What's happening? So later on that day, Richard Thibodeau called the police because he was hanging out with his girl and his girl was like, yo, like that girl is missing. Like you were there, you were at that gas station, call them, like at least see if they might need to ask you any questions. So he does that, having no idea how this will change his life and his brother's life forever. Police instantly zone in on him. So much so that a lot of locals think that they completely derailed the investigation, right? So early on, a man named Chris Bivens calls police and tells him that he has some information. This entire thing is sketchy as hell. So he gives a verbal statement, a handwritten statement, and a typed up statement. It is believed that investigators typed up the typed up statement, right? The first hour of this interrogation, investigation, whatever, is not recorded. And everyone is like, yeah, because the cops were fucking coaching him into saying whatever they wanted him to say. Like, why wouldn't it's like, oh, if I forgot to record the whole hour, what the fuck? Are you kidding me, dude? And Oswego County police are shady. They're dirty. I've been body slammed by them. Those are the cops that came up into my crib without a warrant talking about, oh, we were called there and we seen something in plain sight. No, the fuck you didn't. Because I knew that my grandma was calling you and I just spent an hour cleaning my house up. You ain't seen nothing. You fucking busted up in my shit and you body slam me, you bitch. So I don't believe nothing that the Oswego County police say at all, right? So Chris Bivens, he tells the police that he was low on gas and so that he's driving by the D&W gas station, but he does not pull in because he sees a domestic dispute. He says that there are two men arguing with a young girl. And he says that he sees one man completely bear hug the girl from behind and start dragging her to a vehicle. And the other man, and it's not funny, but it's just so fucking ridiculous. And the other man is just walking ahead of them, getting the door. But he says he didn't think anything of it because he thought, oh, she must know these men. One of them's probably breaking up with her. She's probably really upset and they're just trying to calm her down by bear hugging the girl and shoving her in a car. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? I just think that is so crazy. But his girl actually calls the police to tell them, hey, he loves the spotlight. He loves attention, whether it's positive or negative. Take everything he says with a grain of salt. So there's a good chance that Chris could just be a weird ass liar. But then things happen later on that we'll talk about that it's like, oh shit, did he see something? Like I said, Chris had a handwritten statement and a typed up statement. So in the handwritten statement, Chris says that the man in the front that was leading the way was 5'6". In the other statement, he says he was 5'11", which is a huge fucking gap. 5'11's damn near 6 foot. You know what I'm saying? Was this motherfucker tall or not? So it's like, how do we get this guy down half a foot? And then he told police in his verbal statement that the second man that was holding the girl was about 6'2", right? He told them that. But in the statement that the officer typed up, he does not give this man a height at all. So, like, if he told you a height, why didn't you put it in? Also, Heidi was 5'11". This man says that the girl being dragged was 5'11". But in the typed up statement, they wrote 5'9". And even on Heidi's missing posters that the police made, they put 5'9". And a lot of people, a lot of locals speculate that they were trying to make the heights of these men match the Thibodeau brothers and the heights of Heidi match this girl. Like, how do you put a missing person's height inaccurately on a fucking missing poster? It's absolutely crazy. So I'm from around here, and I will say that the community in this town is pretty safe, unless you are wrapped up in the drug world. And these motherfuckers out here are scary. Now, when I say scary, I don't mean like they were on some thug shit like every other drug community in every other city or town. I mean like these racist redneck Duck Dynasty motherfuckers were running shit. Running shit. And a redneck scares me over more than a fucking thug any day. I'm telling you, you cannot predict what they're gonna do. I've been in Oswego a million times and never once have I felt safe. It's the kind of vibe to where, like, if you're a person of color or a lesbian or anything like that, anything a little bit different, and you pull in the wrong driveway looking for your friend's house, a fucking country ass dude is gonna come out with a shotgun and point it at you. Because he was already in the backyard shooting squirrels and fucking raccoons anyway. He had it out. You know, that's the kind of vibe that we're going for, okay? And I've partied there mad times, but one time sticks in my head. I was chilling with this girl that I had met in rehab. Thought she was racist at first when I met her, but I don't know if she thought I was all white or she didn't care. I don't fucking know. But anyways, right? She had a real white trash, you know what I'm talking about, like that Brittany Murphy swag and 8 Mile type shit. Anyways, I'm chilling with this girl. We're hanging out at this trailer. We're getting all fucked up. I'm all hyped up. I had a very bad habit of stealing back then, right? And more times than not, I did not get caught. But this night, my dumb ass stole some coke from that was sitting on the table. And these 3 rugged ass lumberjacks cornered me. And I really thought these motherfuckers were going to rape and kill me. Like, they were calling me the N-word. They were calling me half-breed. Are you a boy? Are you a girl? Give us our shit because you're not fucking leaving until you do. Here, sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought it was mine. I thought it was mine. And, like, they wanted to kill me. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, this isn't about me. But I wanted you guys to know the energy that is felt in Oswego County. So whether or not Heidi was wrapped up in the drug world has been debated from her family, police officers, the community for years. But what we do know is that Heidi told her boyfriend that there was a man that would come into the gas station high on coke that always annoyed her and made her uncomfortable. We also know that Heidi was a confidential informant since the age of 15. Yes, fucking 15. How does that happen, you ask? Well, that can't even be fucking decided because everyone's torn between two stories. So it depends on whether you believe the police or Heidi's Aunt Martha. According to the police, Heidi was hanging out with a group of friends that were partiers and they were using drugs. And Heidi was so worried about them that she went to the police herself and was like, I'm so worried about my friends. They're using drugs and I want to get all drugs out of New Haven. Can you help me? What can I do to make this happen? And she just willingly gave them all kinds of information on her friends. I don't believe that shit at all. And I know that the fucking Oswego County Police Department are fucking dirty, filthy liars. Don't believe them at all. I guess that story is possible, but I don't believe it. Now, Heidi's Aunt Martha says that when Heidi was 15 years old, she was hanging out with her cousin, who was around 25. And her cousin would take Heidi to these parties where there would be drugs and people hanging out and getting fucked up. And that Heidi was babysitting her cousin's child. And that when police came to one of these house parties because of a noise complaint, they saw that this child that was supposed to be being babysat by Heidi was unattended in a car sleeping, and Heidi was inside in the house. Now, supposedly, according to Aunt Martha, the police were going to charge 15-year-old Heidi with child neglect or child endangerment. Like, why not the fucking 25-year-old mom? But and in order for Heidi to avoid facing charges, Martha's husband, who was a New Haven judge, talked to some people, asked for some favors, and got Heidi out of it. But the only condition was she had to help the police out. Now, that sounds a lot more fucking believable to me because I know that the Oswego County Police Department does not have morals and they don't give a fuck. Whether you're a child, a pregnant woman, a crackhead, the president, they don't fucking care. You know what I'm saying? It's all about them and what they can do. So I definitely believe this story more than anything. Now, if that is not infuriating enough, you are not going to believe this shit. The officer that signed Heidi up as a confidential informant 2 years before Heidi's abduction at the D&W gas station, that makes her only 16 years old. He is in a parking lot and he has her confidential informant ID card. It has her name, her fake name, and a photo of her. And he loses it in a parking lot 2 years before she's abducted. Can you guess where he dropped it? The D&W gas station where Heidi worked, of all fucking places. Absolutely unreal. So the police letting us and Heidi down would be a reoccurring theme throughout the fucking decades. First of all, normally local small police forces will hand over big cases like this to the state police because they're not equipped to handle missing persons, murders, and shit like that because they don't happen often. That should have happened here, but unfortunately, 2 cops were having a pissing contest and it just prevented us from getting anywhere. So the local sheriff refused to hand this case over to the state police because he was beefing with the head of the state police. They had some kind of feud that went back years and it prevented them from being able to work together. How sad is that? An 18-year-old girl lacking help and lacking resources because these 2 men couldn't fucking get over themselves. Even the governor was like, yo, what the fuck are y'all doing up there? And sending the National Guard. Like, somebody's got to help. Somebody's got to look. But unfortunately, the local police never really looked anywhere but Richard and his brother, even though there were multiple suspects. So the police get Richard and his girl down for questioning. And he's telling Richard, yo, your girl is giving us everything right now. She said that you went there, you kidnapped that girl. And Richard's like, what the fuck? Like, if she's saying that, that's wild because I didn't do shit. Meanwhile, His girl's in the next room, not saying a thing like that. She's telling them, like, he's been with me all day. We went to get smokes. He went to Easter with my family, and then we called y'all. Like, he hasn't been up to anything. And these piece of shit ass cops threatened to take her children if she didn't tell them what they wanted to hear. And that's when she bugged the fuck out. She was like, "You're not taking my kids. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Y'all are out of your mind. He didn't do anything, and you cannot take my kids because nothing happened." The police would have Richard and his girl down there for 8 hours. Finally, they let them go at the end of the night, but Richard gave them access to his van because he's like, "Yo, I don't got nothing to hide. Search it, bitch." He took 2 lie detector tests, and news articles have conflicting stories. Some say he passed, some say he failed. He also gave them DNA, he gave them blood, he gave them hair, pubic hair, and his fingerprints, none of which have ever been linked to Heidi Allen. And nothing in his van was linked to Heidi Allen. Unfortunately for Richard and his brother Gary, the rumor mill was running fucking wild in Oswego County. People were saying that they saw his van at the gas station, and they saw him and his brother in a wooded area, and all kinds of crazy shit. And that's all the police ever had, was the fact that Richard called and said he was at that gas station, and then rumors. That's it. There was never one shred of physical evidence. On May 25th, 1994, both Thibodeau brothers would be arrested. Richard would be arrested for kidnapping. Gary, they were trying to build a case against him. They really didn't have anything on Richard, but they really didn't have nothing on Gary because he wasn't there. And they got him caught up with an old drug charge out of Massachusetts. They wanted to get him, lock him up so that they knew where he was and they could build a case against him. Unfortunately for Gary, while he was locked up on these drug charges, 2 of his cellmates would come forward to try to get their sentences lowered by saying that Gary confessed to them that he killed and kidnapped Heidi Allen. The story's changed a couple times, but it always said that there was a drug deal gone wrong. One of them said that Gary screwed over Heidi during a drug deal. The other one said that Heidi screwed over Gary during a drug deal and she threatened him and he had to get rid of her. They said that Gary told them he kidnapped her with his brother and beat her with a shovel. Now, the townspeople were up in arms. They were like, there is no fucking way that Richard did this. They said everyone was pretty much in agreement that he was a great guy and it just wasn't possible. His friends actually put a sign up in his yard that said Dick didn't do anything. And then, how crazy is this? So he did landscaping, and one of his female clients posted his bail of $15,000 to get him out of prison. Like, can you imagine the way he must have did her yard? He must have did her other yard, because what the fuck? That's wild. I don't know anybody that loves their employee that much. But yeah, she was so convinced that he was such a good guy and he was being railroaded that she posted his $15,000 bail. Unfortunately, Gary would never post bail. He was more of a character. He had more of a checkered past than Richard. The police tried to do the exact same thing with Gary's girl that they did with Richard's. They got her into an interrogation room and they told her, "We know that he did this. We know that he was not with you like you're saying he was. And we can get you set up in the witness protection program. We can give you money. You choose any location you want in the world. Bitch, we will put you there. We will make sure you have money in your pocket, a car, everything. All you got to do is turn against him." And she never would. She never would, because she swore that what they were saying was the truth. And they stuck to that story forever. Forever. And the saddest part of all this is, when they took Richard to trial, he was the one that was at that gas station. He was acquitted. Gary, there was never any evidence that he was at that gas station, and he was sentenced to life in prison. And he died there. Now, I'm going to have to make a couple more parts because this shit just goes so deep, and I don't want to rush it. I don't want to half-ass it. Please be patient with me. I love you guys. This is my first time doing this on my own. I really hoped you like it. I am open to any constructive criticism that y'all want to throw at me. I love you. I'm only going to get better, I promise. See you at part 2.
The Gary Thibodeau, who sits in Clinton Correctional Facility in northern New York, doesn't even look like the man convicted of kidnapping Heidi Allen 20 years ago. But he remembers the moment the jury's verdict was delivered.
Probably about the past 8 or 9, 10 years, ever since I stopped working out, I just figured, well, there ain't no chance now. No sense to give him the 25. I just let my body go to hell and hope I can die a lot sooner. I ain't gonna kill myself, but if it happens naturally, that's just fine with me.
Now I done been through it all, losing all of my niggas. Some gray outside of these prisons, but yeah, this was our